Alright, welcome back to Duties Daggers, folks. We have a review slash overview today of this magic little guy. This is the ProTech Magic. Now, some people call it the ProTech Magic Whiskers, some people call it the ProTech Magic, and some people call it the ProTech Whiskers. And I don't know. I don't know which one it is. Um, the designer is named Whiskers, which I don't really know much about that person, but apparently that's the designer. So I think the proper name of the knife is the ProTech Magic, and people call it the ProTech Magic Whiskers just because it sounds cool, I guess, and that's the designer. I guess I don't know. If you know more about it, let me know in the comments. So we're gonna get all into what's going on with this guy. First, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're getting very close to 2,000 subscribers. There's going to be a big live event, giveaway, guests, a bunch of stuff happening once we reach that. So help me out. Go ahead and subscribe and join the family. Be a part of the fun. And follow me on Instagram, duties_daggers, right there. So this is an automatic knife from ProTech. And if you're not familiar, uh, you might be thinking, where's the button? Most automatic knives have buttons or switches. This does not have any visible button or switch. It's hidden, and that's why it's called the Magic, is because when you open it, it seems like magic because there's no button. This is really cool. This is kind of the reason why I wanted to buy this knife, is because I really wanted to experience this locking mechanism. It's really wild. Um, it's very unique. It's one of a kind. I thought it was completely one of a kind. But one of my subscribers informed me that Buck Buck Knives actually has a sliding bolster automatic knife as well, and it's a little different. It swings the opposite way, or it swings from a different axis, I should say, and it swings a lot farther. It does not look as good at all, but it is a thing. So how this works is it's a sliding bolster. If you look carefully, you can see a seam right there. So this bolster is separate from the rest of the scale and liner. You can see these two hardwares right here are basically bolting this bolster to the back spring. This is a back spring like you'd see on a slip joint. Then that's what locks out the knife. So when I slide this bolster, you can see it moves. Actually, I should do this open. You can see that it's pulling that back spring out of the way. So that's what allows you to close the knife. Now, there's some kind of coil spring in there giving tension to the blade, and I'm not sure what's going on inside of there to release it and let it spring open, but that's how you do it. And to disengage, you're pulling that back spring out of the way, letting it close. So super unique way to do an automatic knife. Just really cool. This is a PVD coated blade, and for some reason it just picks up fingerprints like nobody's business. So excuse me if I keep wiping it. So yeah, really cool. Now I've figured out that there's different ways you can open this. What I mean is, well, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically, if you wanted to open this knife and have it pop open kind of more slowly and quietly, you can place your thumb directly on this bolster, right on top of it, and slide. You kind of pinch and slide. That makes the knife pop open really slowly. You can see it almost didn't lock out there. That's because you're squeezing that pivot inside there, not allowing it to swing out properly. Now, if you move your thumb kind of more over to the edge here, and then slide it, you're fine. It pops out much quicker, like that. Now, if you put the closer you get to the edge, like you can put your thumb kind of up here in the top corner, then it really slams out quick. And then if you want it to slam out even faster and harder, what I've learned is you can kind of almost build up pressure and then your thumb kind of let your thumb roll off of it. Watch. See what I mean? It absolutely slams out when you do it that way. So that's kind of cool. If you were in a setting where you didn't want to upset anybody, you wanted to be a little more, quiet, you could just do, bam, nice and quiet. Or if you wanted to really be a badass, slap it open. Just slap it open. So that's cool. I like that. Another cool thing is if you wanted to just pretend this wasn't even an automatic knife, you can just grab the blade down here, activate the bolster, and then just pretend like it's a slip joint. And I think, I mean, I would say like 99% of people, if they didn't know about this knife or weren't into knives and you did this, wouldn't think twice about it. They would say, okay, yeah, it's just a regular knife. Because you don't see the thumb pushing aside the bolster. It just looks like you're grabbing the knife like you normally would, right? So that's really cool. That's another very cool thing about the knife. It's kind of stealthy. It can be a nice, quiet, kind of gentlemanly knife, but it can also be freaking badass and slam open if you wanted to. So that's very cool. Um, so now that we know kind of how it works, what the mechanism is, let's talk about the construction of the thing. This is a full aluminum chassis, aluminum body. This is kind of what ProTech does. There's no liners. It's just full thickness aluminum scales. This one in particular has an ivory micarta inlay, which I don't know. They say it's micarta, but it's really like polished if it is. It must be just a very high polished micarta. It looks very nice. It's just not the fuzzy kind of micarta. If you get it in the right light, you can kind of see a little bit of differing in the color. Not really the color. You can see like some little dots in there, kind of. So it's not just solid white. It looks really nice. It's an off-white. It's an ivory. I really like it. They also sell this in just without that, just plain PVD black coated aluminum if you want that as well. We have a 154 cm blade that's also PVD coated. We got this ProTech pocket clip with the inset with flat-headed screws. This is a pretty long ProTech clip. I would have rathered it have the clip that's on the Malibu, which is the same one but just shorter. And I think this is much better. Ouch. I think that's much better. I don't know why it's so long, I think it's a little too long. But, whatever. It doesn't really mess with the ergos that much. I do feel it. This kind of bill lands kind of right here. So I do feel it, but it doesn't create a hot spot. But, it is there. I do feel it. I just wish it was one of these nice shorter ones. I love this clip. I really like this clip. So I like this clip too. Just wish it was a little shorter, but it does work really well. So you can see on the clip side, there's nothing, no inlays, nothing going on, just plain aluminum. We got a lanyard hole back there if you want that. And then this texturing on the bolster, it's not super grippy, but it's definitely grippy enough to, like I said, if you want to put your thumb flat on the bolster and do it that way, you have enough grip to do that easily. What else? So yeah, the overall kind of aesthetic of this thing kind of reminds me of, like I said, kind of more of a gentleman's knife. I don't know. I think it's got like a classic knife look, possibly because it resembles almost a buck in a way, but not even a buck. I would say just like kind of a classic knife shape. We got this kind of rounded line here with the back of the scale that follows down the spine. It's a drop point blade with a little belly. Pretty useful blade shape. Pretty versatile. Not the most versatile I've ever seen, obviously, but you'll be able to do a pretty wide variety of cutting with this thing. Um, and the ergos are they're really not bad at all. But they're not like fantastic. They're not like hand melting or anything. These edges are, they're all knocked down. There's no sharp edges, but these could be rounded a bit more. You can see they're relatively a 90-degree angle there. But not too bad. Then we have these kind of two large grooves here. It seems like your pointer finger, middle finger kind of go in this front one, and then pinky and ring finger kind of go in the back one, and this point is kind of right in between. So it doesn't hurt your hand having this little point right here. It falls right in between your fingers, so that's fine. I can get a full grip on it easily. You know what? We didn't measure this thing. Let's do that. What are we even thinking here? This is a 3-inch blade. Actually, if you measure the cutting edge, it's 3 inches. If you put the ruler all the way back to the bolster there, it's like 3 1/16. The handle is, exactly 4 inches. And then overall, we're looking at 7 1/16. So cool. Very cool. Let's measure the thickness behind the edge and do our size comparisons. I kind of did this out of order. This doesn't feel like the superest, sliceyest blade ever, but it's not horrible. I'd guess like 23 thousandths behind the edge. Let's find out. We'll take 3 measurements, one right in front of the sharpening choil here. And we're looking at 26 thousandths. 26. And a little thicker at 30. Wow. Yeah, so pretty thick behind the edge. That's like, that's right around PM2 thickness, even a little bit thicker. So not the sliceiest blade ever, but it is thin blade stock. So this is still going to slice really well. It's when you have thick blade stock and a thick measurement behind the edge where it gets less slicey. But I'll demonstrate here. Let's get some paper, just so I can show you I'm not talking out my ass here. I did put a really nice high polish edge on this guy with the work sharp. This is what angle did I pick again? Let's see. I wrote it down just so everybody knows. 23 degrees each side. Yeah, this thing slices, no problem at all. So there you go. The reason this is more of an overview review rather than a real review is because I didn't really carry this that much. I think I carried it like twice, and I didn't really use it. I bought it with the intention of checking out the locking mechanism. I got to actually handle one at the knife show recently, but just very quickly. And I thought I liked it, and I do like it. But this is, to me, not something that I would really carry day to day. The reason for that is I like to flick my knives. I like my knife to be useful, first of all, and then a close second, fun to use and kind of fidgety and clicky and clacky, and you know what I mean? Just I like to flick my knives. That's why I don't own any automatics. Very, very few. There's something not quite as fun about just pushing a button and the blade popping out, and then you have to use 2 hands to close it. You can close this one-handed, actually, but, it doesn't swing shut. And that's really the reason that I don't have a lot of automatics. I think they're awesome. It feels cool to have this blade slam out so fast. It's a cool feeling for sure. And I think I might get, I think I'm going to actually sell this knife. I think I might end up getting a different ProTech, maybe one like a TR3, TR4 or 5, or a SBR maybe. Um, you know, it's hard to really put my finger on why I would get something like that rather than carrying this knife. I think it has a lot to do with the overall aesthetic. I'm not a massive fan of the overall aesthetic of the knife. Um, it just looks, it's a little plain. I think that's really what it is. It's a little plain. If they had this mechanism on something more interesting looking, like if this was on, I don't know how they would do it, but on the SBR or on the TR3, I think that would be a little bit of a different story. If this didn't have, if this same knife didn't have this cool locking mechanism, um, it would not interest me at all. It really would not interest me. And I think that's the reason why I'm moving this along and selling it. Um, and that's really it. It's really just the aesthetic of the knife. This is a good knife. It's built well. It fires hard. Um, it's never misfired. It locks up every time. I've tried a few automatics where sometimes when it hits the stop pin, it'll bounce back a little bit and then not lock out totally. It's never happened on this one, unless I'm like squeezing too hard right here, like I did. Um, but that's a different thing. If I fire it like it's supposed to be fired, locks out every single time, fires hard. Not quite as hard as some other ProTechs that I've handled. I got to handle a full-size Rockeye at the knife show, and whew, that thing fired like crazy hard. But this is plenty hard. It doesn't bother me. I've handled side opening automatics where they were weak enough to the point that it bothered me. This is not that. So like I said, yeah, just really well built knife. Just aesthetically not really for me. This is an awesome locking mechanism. I wish they would use it on more knives. I wonder why they only did it on this one. I don't really know. But there you go. That's kind of an overview for it. As far as like the cutting performance and ergos while you're gripping it, pushing through a cut, I can't really say just because I haven't done that with it. So this, yeah, is more of an overview of the knife, what I think about it. If this aesthetically is your thing, then, I mean, holy crap, you're going to love this thing because it's badass. It's really badass. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just badass. So that's it. That's the ProTech Magic Whiskers. Thanks for watching, folks. And please like the video before you head out. I would appreciate it. And that'll do it. Love y'all. Peace and love. Adios.